Hello guys, this video is going to talk about the concept of failure and why it's important to experience failure and not be afraid of failing, so to speak. So the main idea, I guess, here would be that people in general, everybody is afraid of failing, but failure is honestly the best thing that can happen to you if you properly process the failure and you make something out of it, like you make some kind of decision that will prevent this failure from happening again. Now, the big reason why people are afraid of failure is because failure is really just a sign of weakness, or so people think. Well, actually, yeah, I guess failure is a sign of weakness. You were too weak to succeed, and that thought scares people. People don't want to admit that they are too weak for X or Y or Z, especially in a society where we are all expected to be strong. We're all expected to be smart. We're all expected to be this, that. One of the things we're expected to be is to not be failures. And the main idea is this. It is completely okay to be weak as a person. Weakness is completely fine. What is not okay is staying weak. Staying weak is the worst thing that you can do to yourself. Being weak is fine. You need to start off somewhere, right? And if that point is you being weak, then that's just a stepping stone to you becoming strong. Just like if that point for you is failure, that's a stepping stone to success. You cannot be afraid of those two things. You can only be afraid of stagnating and staying in the same spot. Whenever you fail at something, depending on how emotionally degrading it is, you should give yourself time to emotionally process the failure, right? Like that's completely natural. You fail at something, you get sad. You need to make sure that you allow your emotions to run their course, and then when you feel better, then you start the self-reflecting process. And when you start self-reflecting, what you should do is ask yourself questions like, well, why did I fail, right? Like, what happened? What are my excuses for failing at this point in time? And most importantly, how can I prevent these excuses from being valid in the future? A recent example in my life would be actually regarding this little video commitment that I'm doing, right? I've committed to making a video every single Sunday, no matter what, right? That was my commitment. That's a thing I promised to myself, that I would make these videos and grow my channel and do all this stuff. If you noticed, last week I did not release a video. Now, I have a valid excuse in my mind that prevented me from making it. I was helping my parents move, and I also lost a dog, right? So to me, I was just not in the mood of making a video, but in general, that's still an excuse, right? It's not necessarily a bad excuse, but it is an excuse, and it is a failure regardless of how we look at it. Regardless of the reason or an excuse, though, I made the commitment, and I failed. So how did I go through the process of making this failure into something better, right? Well, the thing that I learned here is that I did not manage my time better. I knew that I would have to go home this weekend, and I knew that I would have to help my parents move both Saturday and Sunday. So a good solution that I could have done was make the video, pre-record it on Friday, and then when I got back on Sunday, I could have released it, right? But I did not do that. That's poor planning on my part. I could have definitely made the video and then released it on Sunday. Another example could have been I could have limited the amount of help I helped my parents, right? That could be another thought. To me, that wasn't a valid thing to do because my parents really needed my help. But I could have done that. And then there's like third things. I could have just said no. I could have just hired somebody. I could have done X, Y, Z. There's so many ways I could have made this, like last week's video, happen, but I didn't because A, I prioritized helping my parents, and then B, I did not have enough energy to help to make the video on Sunday. And so that's the thing I learned, is that I need to manage my time better if I want to do the things that I want, right? Helping my parents and making sure that I create these videos. And one thing here, I'm just looking at my notes over here. Oh, and then the solution that I came up with, right, like, is that I will try to pre-record videos and then release them on Sunday, because that's my promise. But the thing is, right, even if I fail next time, let's say next week for some reason I don't release a video, or the following week I don't release the video, that would be still a failure on my part. But the thing is, next time I fail, I will go through the same exact process and I will see what worked and what did not work, just like I did here. And what that will help me do is that with each single failure that I make, I should learn at least a little bit until I am 100% consistent with this video series and I am 100% creating quality content and I am trying my best to help you, the viewer, become a person who's centered around self-improvement. Now, you might be thinking also, well, why don't you, like, you failed on Sunday, but why don't you just release the video on Monday? Or, like, why don't you record the video on Monday and release it, right? Or another way you could look at it is, like, why don't you just release 2 videos on the next Sunday? That should make up for your failure. That is false. You cannot justify your failure by overburdening yourself later on. That is the bad way to go about it because you're tapping into your ego, right, as a person. You need to understand that when you fail, and you need to be honest with yourself. You don't need to make excuses. You don't need to make these over-exaggerations. You don't need to tap into your ego. You need to just accept the failure and learn from it. That's the most important thing that you can do. If I released another video on Monday, I would not have fixed the mistake that I made on Sunday because my commitment was to Sunday. It wasn't to Monday. If I release 2 videos today, it doesn't mean that I did not fail the commitment last Sunday. It might make me feel better, but it doesn't fix anything logically or in the long run. So the most important thing here is that you understand how to like control your ego so you don't overburden yourself, and also understanding what your words mean, like the power of your word. You have to just be honest with yourself. I'm going to cover this topic in a different video, but the crux of it is this. You need to make sure that you're not applying a band-aid to your failures. You're not applying an emotional band-aid so you feel better. You're not applying a physical band-aid by releasing 2 videos thinking it fixes anything. Because the thing is, it doesn't fix anything. You need to make sure that instead of trying to fix the failure, you accept it and you learn from it. That's the most important thing you can do. And so I guess like this is the ending of the video. To really just recap here, this is sort of the example of failure that I have experienced, and it's sort of the idea that I wanted to talk about in terms of failure, right? It's the main idea here is this. It is completely okay for you to fail at anything. It's just not okay for you not to learn from something, from this failure. And it's 100% okay for you to be weak. It's just not okay for you to stay weak. I appreciate you guys watching. If you guys liked what you saw, please leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'll reply. I appreciate everything, and I appreciate all the views and all the support. Thank you. See you guys later.